Hey, okay. So I just want to let everybody know this is going to be recorded. And since it is recorded and everybody is going to get a copy of the recording, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And those who come in as we're speaking can just catch up in the recording. So before I get started, I do want to talk a little bit more about why I started doing this, what led me to do it, the frustrations and struggles that I was having. And then along the way, if you have questions or want to talk about your own personal idea, definitely feel free to unmute and ask because I want this to be more than just me talking at you about what I did, but giving other people in the education field, whether it's public education, higher ed, instructional design. Um, let's talk about these different ideas because, from my perspective, just in my personal experience, I was always talked to about go to college so you can get a better job, go to college so you can earn more. But when I did that and graduated with my bachelor's, I didn't like my salary. So that led me going back to getting my master's. So my bachelor's and my master's are in accounting. Um, so I started working doing that. And even though I enjoyed my job, enjoyed the people I was working with, I still wasn't earning what I would have expected to earn after putting in so much work at school. Um, and I mean, late night study. I mean, anybody on here that has a degree, you already know the struggles. Trying to study, if you had a full time job while you were in school, trying to juggle those things, working to try to get the papers done. People who've gone on to work on their doctorate understand trying to work on your dissertation and doing all the research that comes with that. So we're so busy and burdened down going back to college for another degree or another certificate anytime we want to increase our pay. And to be honest, I got frustrated with that. Um, so fast forward, I have two jobs. I'm working as an accountant. I'm adjuncting as an accounting instructor, and then went back for my own doctorate, thinking, okay, well, I like teaching. They seem to have a good work-life balance. Let me get this doctorate. Maybe I can move into a full-time position, create the work-life balance that I want for my family, earn more, be able to travel, possibly have summers off because that's the idea that I was given. Um, now that I'm going through my program and having the opportunity to apply for full time positions, I'm seeing that that work life balance isn't as great as I once thought it was. Um, when it comes to the requirements for research or having to do student advising, tutoring, and even just having to grade all of the assignments that come in. Because just a side note, now that we're dealing with Corona, uh, a lot of our teaching staff was laid off. So that means that we have more students per class. So there'll be times I have anywhere from 4 to 5 classes with more than 30 students in each class. So that's anywhere from 120 to more than 150 assignments, submissions per assignment. That's a lot to grade. So even if the course load itself doesn't take up your full day, all of the grading, the designing the courses, giving people extensions because, of course, they have work and kids and other things to deal with. It just became I don't want to call it a burden, but that's almost what it was. It's like an unending cycle of stuff to grade, of deadlines to meet, whether it was serving on a committee, meeting research deadlines, or meeting deadlines just to get grades in time for the registrar to update GPAs and let the students register for their next courses. Um, and all that, I was completely overworked, working full time as an accountant, teaching, grading all those papers, and then trying to find time to write my own papers, do my own research, trying to find time to squeeze my family in there. It often, to be honest, it often left them out. It was rare that I had time for them. Any free time I had, I was either trying to catch up on something for my job or do something for my own studies. Try to hurry up and get this assignment out the way, catch up and read this, or hurry up and put my kids to bed so I could work on the things that I needed to work on. And while all of that's going on in the background, my husband was having health issues. So we're in and out the hospital with him having different surgeries. We end up finding out that my youngest is autistic. So that comes with its own therapy visits, trying to help her excel because right now she's 3 and she doesn't talk. So we're going to therapy visits to help her speak, therapy visits to anything that can help her excel and catch up to the other kids on her level before she goes to school. So these are all things that I was trying to juggle. And then in addition to all of that, as soon as I started working on my perspectives for my dissertation, I reached my aggregate limit. So it's either apply for private loans, like through a private bank, or try to figure out a way to pay tuition on my own. Um, and any of you that know, the aggregate limit is upwards of $130,000, depending on what type of loans that you have. So I already have more than our mortgage and student loans. Now trying to figure out how to add more to it or pay it out of pocket. So all of that being worked out, being overworked, being stressed, feeling underpaid in the positions that I had, because that was really the motivation for me teaching and going back for my doctorate. I didn't feel I was earning enough with my master's. So all of that combined made me think, let me just try this. I'm already designing courses for the school. They charge each student $3,200 or more per class. So clearly my knowledge is valuable. And the same for all of you. If you're a teacher, doesn't matter if it's in public education or in higher ed, if you design courses, if you just think about how much money the college is bringing in, it shows you how valuable our knowledge really is. And yeah, I understand the school, it does marketing. Sometimes people come there for a specific name, but the gist of it all is people are coming there for information. And that information, a lot of times, is provided by us if we're the teacher or the person designing the course. So that's really what gave me the idea and the confidence for me to, you know what, let me just try this. Let me just go ahead and try this. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't do well. And then in addition to that, just being on social media, noticing what people are paying for. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing what they call gurus pop up and charging $5,000, $10,000, $2,500 for a course on working on your mindset, or for a course on getting over trauma from your past. And not to minimize those things, but if people can charge that much for such a vague idea, surely we can charge for the concrete knowledge that we have, the results that we're able to provide. Because even as an instructor, if you have students coming through your courses and doing well, graduating and going on to get a job, technically you're imparting into their lives. You're providing a transformation for them, and the same transformation they pay the school for, they can pay you for as well. And that's leading into what I started doing, because it does not have to be limited to what you're educated in. I shared that my degrees are in accounting, both my master's and my bachelor's. My doctorate is going to be in management, just because in my mind, maybe that'll open me up to more business professor positions, because I have the concentration in accounting and also have it in management. Um, but the courses that I sold on my own focused on student loan debt. With me doing the research for my doctorate, I'm starting to find out, you look for a gap. What problem or issue is there that nobody's really talking about or addressing? And that is an issue that I found. I know that student loans are an issue in my own life. Many of the people I went to school with, many of the people I work with, often have student loan debt that they can't afford. And a lot of my clients also qualify for what you call an income-based repayment plan, meaning that they filled out some paperwork for Fed loans or any other federal loan provider, saying that this is how much I earn. I can't afford the amount that you guys want me to pay. Can you give me a lower amount? Some people pay $0, upwards of 150 or more. But if you qualify for that, that pretty much means that the federal government agrees that whatever salary your career is providing you is not paying you enough to cover your student loan debt. For me, that was a problem. I'm still in school trying to increase my pay, and I've qualified for the IBR repayment plans since graduating in 2009. So from 2009 up until I started selling my own courses, on paper, it never looked like I made enough to afford the true payment for my student loan debt. And to me, that was crazy, because that was the same for a lot of my peers, a lot of the people I worked with, even a lot of my students. They were excited about the jobs that they had. They were excited about graduating and getting these good careers, but those good careers were not really paying what they expected to live the life that they wanted. So back to, I saw that as a gap in information or an issue that people were facing. So many people have student loans and are defaulting on them. Uh, Most teens, myself included, feel like if we had known more, if people had talked to us more, maybe I could have avoided this. And knowing that, uh, same with us working in education, we know that most colleges don't have the resources to sit down with the individual student to say, hey, this is how it's going to affect you. The same in K 12. Oftentimes, college funding and those type of discussions are left to the guidance counselors. So they're already they're struggling to keep up with their own duties and tasks. So talking to students about student loan debt, avoiding it, other ways to pay for college, telling them, even though the scholarship search is frustrating, stick to it because it's better to put in that effort now versus spending the rest of your life trying to pay off this debt. Often people are so overwhelmed and overworked, they don't have time to do those things. So that's kind of where I came in. I know about student loans. I know about the struggles that I have. I know enough about them to explain to teens this. I'm a prime example of why you should avoid them. You don't want to end up like me, struggling to pay them or working a job that you may not like just so you can have the money coming in to keep your bills up. So telling them things like that really is what started my own business of my education based business or selling my own courses. Um, so what I did was, come up with like an outline of what I wanted to talk to them about. And then I would call local schools telling them, hey, I talk to kids about student loans and college funding. Can I come in and speak to your students? And everybody I spoke with would say, yeah, come on in. We're trying to prepare kids for college. We don't really have people to come in and talk about stuff like this. So when I would go in and speak, I would talk to them about my personal experience. Nothing that's nothing that's fact, nothing that's information that you would have to study or get from a financial analyst or get from a banker, things like that. I was really just talking to them about my personal experience, how it was a struggle to not only fill out the FAFSA, but figure out what I qualified for, comparing the different schools to make sure uh, I would be able to afford it if I didn't have help with family members and things like that. Just talking to them about my personal experience, even going into how it was harder for me to get my home because we had to go back and forth with the loan providers to show how much they would expect me to pay and how it would affect my debt to income ratio. These are not things that we're taught in school or even talked about often, but these are things that we'll definitely deal with. Anybody that graduates from college is eventually going to want to buy a car, buy a home, maybe even start a family. And the student loan debt will affect all of that. So for me, that was a gap that I realized, and I knew that I had personal experience that could help. So, like I said, I would call schools and I would go talk to them about my personal experience. And at the end of it, I would say, if you want hands on help with avoiding this, hands on help finding scholarship, hands on help trying to create side income so maybe you can pay out of pocket, sign up for my course. And at the time, I was only charging $49 because of my own confidence. I wasn't sure if people would pay. I wasn't sure if people would benefit, which by itself is a little crazy. I've already been teaching at the collegiate level for over 5 years. So clearly I'm able to provide results. But with it being my first time of me doing it for myself, I had doubt. So I only charged $49. And with that first presentation, I had 13 families sign up saying, yeah, I want you to help my son. I want to learn more about how you took this experience and turned it into side income. Um, and that first presentation, I made 13 sales of a $49 product. So that's a little over $600. And that first presentation, I only spoke for an hour, maybe 45 minutes, because the rest of the time was answering questions, talking to them about how the program could continue, and passing out flyers so they could take them home to their parents. Um, so 45 minutes, whether it's teaching at the school I worked at or working as an accountant, there's nothing I could do at either of those jobs that were bringing the same amount of money. So once I did that, that pretty much was the confidence booster that I needed. Oh, okay, so I can do this. I can be successful. And yeah, $600 may not be a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, for me doing this as my first time, just trying it out, not really sure people would buy from me or benefit from me. That was the confidence I needed to, okay, well, let me call more schools, let me book more presentations, and keep selling my course. Um, and it's began to grow. Outside of courses, I also have been able to create other streams of income. If I go speak somewhere and somebody wants to sign up for the course, they sign up and pay and get access to it without me doing anything extra. I've also created ebooks that people can pay for. I have workshops during the summer where teens can come and work on things for a 1 day event and work with their peers. So that's a separate stream of income. I've been able to turn it into a membership program because one of the main things that I wanted to be sure of is, can this, sustain on its own? Can I make this recurring income the same way I would expect a check to come each month or every 2 weeks? I want the same thing in my business. So it grew into me offering membership programs where I talk to them on a monthly basis and they pay me every 2 weeks or every month just to continue to have access to the either information or our discussions, whatever worksheets I come up with. Because anything that I talk about, I also come up with application material so they can think about their own gifts and talents and apply it to their lives. Um, Another stream could be working with people one on one. The same way a group of people can take a course or attend the workshop, I can work with them individually to say, hey, this is the college I want to go to, this is the major I want to pursue, but I'm short this much money. What can I do to come up with the extra funds needed or even minimize the amount of loans that I'll have to take out? And so we'll look at their gifts and strengths, what they're good at, what they do well at in school, and find ways that we can turn that into income. If somebody is um, good at editing papers or gets real good grades in English, um, maybe they'll edit their peers' paper and charge them $10 to $15. And the more somebody says, "Oh, I got a good grade because of such and such," it continues to grow. So that's what I started doing to let me know, okay, I can really do this. And from there, it's just grown. In addition to helping teens avoid student loan debt, it's turned into me helping other adults create a similar business where you can host your own workshops for student loans or even take the ideas that you have, the background that you have, the experiences, and turn it into something that you would actually enjoy, whether it's the student loan programs or not. Um, so, some of the main benefits that have come from me doing this, outside of earning more money, I work less, which means I have more time for my family. And like I mentioned, there are times that my husband still struggles with the illness that he has. So, being able to be hands on with his care. My daughter is autistic. So being hands on with her many therapy visits, because anyone that does have a special needs child, I mean, you understand their doctor visits, their therapy visits, their school, then you need to work with them hands on because they honestly need more help than what the therapist can provide. Our specific situation, if she goes to speech therapy, for example, she sees them for an hour twice a week. So that's 2 hours every week. But in order for a child to grow and be developmentally on on track with its peers, we would need to work with her just on speech alone 25 to 30 hours a week. She gets 2 hours from the therapist. So that means the rest of it falls on me and dad. So if I had to work, if I was rushing to this job, rushing to finish grading papers, or not even rushing, but uh, burdened down with grading papers because, um, like I said, there'd be times that over 100 something people would submit one assignment. And during a semester, there are sometimes 10 to 15 assignments. So that's a lot of work. So doing this and setting it up in a way that works with my schedule, setting it up in a way that if people do want to return their homework or application materials for feedback, it's not that I'm grading hundreds or thousands of assignments while I could be spending the holiday with my family or spending the weekend with my family. Um, uh, Another great benefit is being able to teach without all the added issues. I love teaching. I love seeing the light bulb go off for my students. I love getting those emails and saying, I only stuck with this because of you. I only graduated because you encouraged me to do so. Um, Going through your courses and you showing me how this could, having a degree and having this education could change my life. I really enjoy having that type of impact, getting that type of feedback. But I didn't like all the extra issues that came with teaching. Sometimes just the restrictions and regulations imposed by the institution made it harder to be a good teacher because you had to focus on research or committees, and that sometimes cut into advising time or tutoring time. So with the way that I run these things, if someone wants to work with me one on one, then they have my undivided attention. And I'm able to create the courses in a way that can really impact your life versus just having a general, okay, I'm teaching accounting. So this one size fit all accounting course is what you're going to get. Instead, if you're working with me to avoid student loans or even turn what you know or enjoy into income, it's tailored to your specific needs or your specific struggles or what you want your outcome to be. So instead of a one size fits all, you get it or you don't, it's it feels it feels more like you're walking in your purpose and really helping people because you're able to address their specific needs in whatever your particular topic, industry, or course would be on. So if you have pen and paper, I definitely want you to take a few notes because based on the few years that I've been doing this, this would be the process that I would go about selling new courses. Because a lot of times, uh, whether instructional designers or teachers that have to design their own courses, a lot of times we'll go ahead and create the entire course and then find buyers. And that's not always the best way to go. A lot of institutions can do it because they do have a big name out there. A lot of these schools have been around for hundreds of years. So even though they have to market, they're not necessarily marketing to get their name out there like we are doing. So um, the first thing that I want you to do is to analyze the gifts, talents, knowledge, experiences, anything that you enjoy, anything that you've struggled to overcome, any type of obstacle or trial. Because let's say you're like me and uh, chose your major based on what you felt like would bring in the most money so you wouldn't have to ask your parents for money. I mean, we don't talk about those things, but that was really my motivation. How can I earn the most money so I don't have to call and ask my parents for anything? Um, and I chose accounting because all businesses need accountants. Accountants will never go, uh, in my mind, would never go without a job because every business needs to have one. Everybody isn't good with money. But that wasn't um, a passion of mine. I like numbers and I like math, but anybody that knows accounting, that has nothing to do with really math at all. It has everything to do with policies and procedures. It's more so understanding laws and regulations than it is doing the math and things like that. So really analyze your gifts, talents, passions, and experiences, um, and to determine how you can use those to solve a gap or even identify a gap. And going back to my student loan course, it has nothing to do with accounting at all, but everything to do with me taking an experience I already had and using it to address a gap in the world, really. You always see articles about people being millions of dollars in debt. So many millions of people can't afford their student loan debt. So knowing that, and then also seeing how many people were out there that were already trying to help people get out of student loan debt, that's not something that I wanted to fight to be seen in. But there are less people going after teens and helping them avoid it. So, okay, let me pursue this more. So, number three is identifying who is affected by this gap. So, in case you missed the first two, the first one is to analyze the gifts, talents, experiences, knowledge, obstacles, trials that you've already made it through, and determine a gap that you can solve with that experience and knowledge. Then, third, determine who has that gap. For me, with the student loan debt, there are adults with that problem, there are moms with the problem, dads, single parents, different things like that, regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're somebody who likes to cook and your idea will be to help them get healthier. There are a lot of people who could use that. There are people who are transitioning to vegan or transitioning to try to eat keto, various things like that. So, regardless of what industry or topic that you have, when you identify a gap, determine who who has the issue, and then start to research those people. What are they struggling with? What would your course help them accomplish? Because when selling on social media, it's not the same as if you're selling through a collegiate institution. When going to a college, students have to take these courses if they want to graduate. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if you're trying to sell your knowledge on social media, there are options. Often there are other people out there doing the same thing. So researching who you want to work with, having a clear, defined what you'll learn more is called a niche, NICHE. This is the type of people that you want to work with, the issues that they have, and this would be more than, oh, I want to work with women or I want to work with men. What about these women? What are their ages? How much do they earn? What issues are they having? What can connect you to these people outside of just their demographics? That's what you want to research. What are they struggling with? Because on social media, in most cases, people are buying something so they can get further away from a problem or get closer to some type of pleasure. So that's what you need to think about when you're researching these people and um, researching how. So on social media, a lot of times we scroll and answer questions. Somebody may ask, I'm struggling with, who knows? I'm struggling with getting my toddlers to eat. What can I do? There are questions like that all the time, and people share their experience. The same way people are sharing their experience, you can go back through these Facebook groups, Instagram pages, even YouTube videos, and search for whatever your thing is. If you're talking about nutrition, search for nutrition issues in women or in kids. If you're a health expert, um, problems with weight loss, problems with sticking to a diet. You can search for those type of words in Facebook groups and even on Google forums to figure out what people are actually dealing with. Um, another important note is oftentimes when you decide who has the problem, you could be the person with the problem. It could be something that you've already made it through. Prime example, my student loan program. It's easy for me to talk to teens about what I wish I knew because I went through it. So I understand um, what they may not know. I understand that they may have families that didn't talk about money at home. I understand that some of us come from families where money was an issue, so you didn't talk about those things, or you understood that money was an issue because it always caused arguments in the home, various things like that. So if you can, once you identify the gap and the people who are in that gap, if you identify with it, that helps you better speak to your customers because more than just creating a course and selling it, you would need to be able to explain what is helping the people solve and knowing their pain points, knowing what they're struggling through, especially if you've struggled through it, it makes it easier for you to talk about those things. Um, One of the programs I started helps working moms um, get in position where they could possibly become stay-at-home moms. And because that's a transition that I made, leaving my career so I could be more hands-on with my kids, I can talk about the fear that comes from working all these years to get these different degrees, working so hard to get these interviews, filling out who knows how many applications, dealing with toxic work environments, learning the different policies and procedures, and now I'm going to quit all of that to sit at home all day. I understand what that feels like because I lived through it. I fought myself through it. Talking, even the little inside voice. All I saw was hard work. I grew up with people that felt like you should take a job because it has good benefits versus whether it actually pays well or gives you the life that you want. So breaking away from all of those things, it was it was unnerving. It was scary. Um, it was confusing because coming up, all I heard was go to college to get a good education. That good education helps you earn more. However, my first real job after college, I could have got that without a degree. The only thing that was required was for you to have a high school diploma and maybe 2, 3 years of customer service experience. I had that without any degree. Um, so going from a mindset of work hard, accept any job so you can have the money to pay your bills, um, it was uncomfortable for me to really bet on myself, even though I had more than one workshop that resulted in people signing up. There was still doubt on whether can I really do this? Will people really pay me? Will this sustain me? And then even after I took that leap to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and quit and focus on this full time, there was still a fear on did I make the wrong decision? Because once I first really took that leap of faith to step out on my own, I quit my full time accounting job. However, I kept my online teaching job just as like a backup, um, just to be sure. Uh, and while doing that, I would talk to my provost about, I'm selling these courses. I don't want it to become a conflict of interest. Is it okay? And all along, it was okay. When Corona came and teachers started getting laid off, some of my coworkers came to me and, I remember you said something about your student loan program. Can you show me how to do something similar? Because I need money to keep my lights from getting cut off. After helping a few of them, they made enough money that they didn't even come back to their adjunct positions, pretty much because it was easier to do, brought in more income, and it didn't take as much time from their family grading papers or attending meetings, various things like that. So once they started getting that type of feedback, like we're not coming back because Erica helped us do X, Y, and Z, then they started looking a little closer. So what are you doing? How are you actually helping people? Um, and once I got to the point where I felt like, okay, I'm comfortable in this, I can really do this on my own and put in my resignation. That's when they offered, okay, well, we see that you're really bringing in results. We'll offer you this assistant professor position, and you'll be over the entrepreneurship program, because that's pretty much what this program is, helping people start their own businesses, selling the knowledge that we already have all this debt for, in maybe a non-traditional way, but in a way that helps most of us earn more than what we're currently earning. Um, so, but the one stipulation was that I would have to stop selling my personal courses because they would be in direct competition with the entrepreneurship program. So I really had to, think about that and sit with it. Do I take this position because this is what I've been working for all of these years? I went back to get my doctorate so I could get a tenure track position. Um, should I take this or continue to bet on myself? Um, and all in all, based on the life that I wanted, how present I want to be for my kids, be in control of what I earn versus having a cap based on what the school wants to offer me, I did turn down the position to continue pushing my own courses. Not because I earned more. Actually, that position would have been almost double what I'm bringing in at this moment. But if I'm able to replace my full time job salary in less than 2 years, I know that with me continuing to read about marketing, continue to read about how to sell on social media, and as I do these different programs, get feedback on what works and doesn't work, I'm certain that I can do this. And I'm certain that other people can do the same. Um, because without a shadow of a doubt, I know that our knowledge is valuable. If you work at a college or any type of educational institution, you see how much they sell these courses for. And yeah, some people do point out, the marketing teams and the reputation that comes with the school. But there are also some schools out there that most people haven't heard of, and they still charge a few $1,000s for their courses. That's not to say anything negative about the school, other than to prove my point that you don't have to be well known in order to charge for your knowledge or to earn your worth for your knowledge. You need to be able to provide results. And a lot of times on social media, people are paying for quicker results, not necessarily you being the smartest or you being the best teacher, world renowned teacher from Harvard. All of those accolades and stuff, they don't matter. What matters is, can you help your people get results? And your people are most of the times the people that you identify with the most, the people that you have things in common with. Um, One of my main program is for people who have gone to college and have student loan debt just like me, and have a career that can afford to pay their student loan debt just like me. So that's what my programs focus on. And because I can relate to that, Because if there's a mom out there that's trying to catch up on bills and be able to pay off debt, but she also realizes, I work so hard, I never have time for my family. Once I do have time for my family, sometimes I'm snapping on them just because I'm frustrated with my day. I can talk directly to that because I've experienced it. And even though there are big name people out there like Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey or even Robert Kiyosaki, because I can identify with that specific issue, that that helps me stand out to the people that I'm assigned to, or even talking to people in education about this specific struggle. Loving to teach, loving to give information to people, loving to have an impact, loving to inspire others. But getting so far in debt for your education and having a career that doesn't allow you to afford that education or the life that you want, I can speak directly to that because that's the life that I'm living. And you'll be able to do the same with your courses. It doesn't matter if, let's say, like I said, I was an accounting instructor. So yeah, I could have created a course on QuickBooks because I taught QuickBooks at the institution that I worked at. But that's not the type of impact I really wanted to have. Like I said, I got into accounting really based on what degree can I get that can guarantee I bring in a good income and not have to ask my parents for money. I don't know how many other people share that story, but I know there are others out there. I talked to a lot of teens that are scared to ask their parents for $20 for gas to get to work. So I know I'm not the only person that was like, God, please to give me a job that's gonna help me earn enough money that I can take care of myself and my family without having to beg other people for money. And even if you have that family support, sometimes it's embarrassing. I've been in college all these years. I've worked all these years just to be in a situation where I have to ask for help and support, especially if you get in this situation often. And a lot of my clients do deal with that often because of no fault of their own. They went to college like they were supposed to. They did the work and kept their grades up like they were supposed to. They got what most people would say is a good job. Um, but it's not good enough to create the life that they actually want. So all of that would be pain points for people, especially if you've lived through it. Those particular pain points could be the same for people, whether they're trying to create a student loan program, or they're trying to get out of debt, or they're trying to leave academia. Whatever you're helping somebody with, determine what issues they're having and how you can get them closer to whatever the outcome or pleasure that they want. Um, and then once you have those pain points, desires, wants, once you really understand that person, outline what you plan to offer. It could be a course, it could be an ebook. Don't write the entire thing, just outline it. That way you can determine, you know, I can help you accomplish this by doing these steps, or I can help you work through this issue by following this process. Being able to talk to people about where they are and how you can help them get to that point of pleasure or that point where they're overcoming it. That's how you can begin to make pre-sales. So that's a really big deal. The last thing you want to do is to create a course, come up with videos, come up with worksheets, make it really nice, put in the effort to make it really pretty, and so that it's presentable, design nice, flow is nice, and then nobody buys it or nobody's interested. Instead, you really need to focus on finding the gap that you're addressing and the people that are affected by it, specifically the people that you want to work with. Because going back to my student loan example, I could have worked with adults that already have student loans, but because I wanted to not be in competition with so many other people, I had the idea, okay, let me target teens. Okay, well, where can I find them? Most often than not, they're at a high school. So let me call this high school and talk to them about it. That's how you um, kind of make sure that you're not wasting your time on your idea. Finding a place to talk to people about it, finding a place to run the idea by people to make sure that they're actually interested, and even making pre-sales to ensure that they're interested enough to pay for your various ideas. All of that, following those particular steps can make sure that not only you don't waste your time, but it also builds up your own confidence. talking to people, and being able to convince them that this can help you, and them being willing to pay for a new idea, because you definitely tell them that's not something that you hide from people. When I started my membership program, I let people know that this is something that I'm just starting to do. Um, so you can come in at this founding member price, and as it grows, my thank you to you is that you'll stay at this particular price instead of being charged more. But as it grows, I'm going to charge other people more. You can do the same with your courses. You can do the same with your any books that you put out. Hey, I'm planning this book that can help you get out of this particular issue. You can pre-order it now and get it at like the pre-order price, and then once it's released, it'll be this much. It doesn't have to be something that's as in-depth as something that you may get published. It could be something that you come up with that could be no more than a 2 to 5 page paper that you would submit academically. But once you add pictures and graphics and videos and make it worded in a way that's readable to people that are doing it because they want to versus being forced to through college, that 2 to 5 page paper can become a 20 to 30 page book, mainly because the font is bigger, the pictures are bigger. You may add videos. And I have an example that I can send out to you guys. I created an ebook, and it pretty much goes over how I created and sold my student loan program. But telling you now, it was less than a 2 page paper. It may have been 2 pages, double spaced. But once I went back and increased the font to make it, you know, not so, I don't want to say education is boring, but a lot of the test books and the stuff that we get from our institutions, the font is small, there's a lot of words. So once you see it, automatically you're like, oh, how long is it going to take me to read this? I didn't want any of my people to feel like that. So, like I said, the font is bigger. There are pictures, bright colors, videos they can click on, activities that they can do to go ahead and fill it in, so they can apply it to their life. And doing those things makes it more relatable. And then, like I said, that's something that you can upload to Google Drive, save it as a PDF, and then charge people before you give them the link. I don't want to make it seem like it's so simple, but a lot of us have to use G Suite or Google Workspace for our jobs. I use a lot of their features to create my courses. I use Google Sites to create all the courses. Any PDFs, worksheets, workbooks, ebooks, all of those are saved in Google Drive. Um, I use PayPal and Square Up to accept payments. So let's say somebody wants to pay for a course. Once I get the PayPal notification that that somebody's paid, they get access to the course. And once you've done it enough and begin to build, and now you have maybe hundreds, if not thousands, of people buying your knowledge or buying your courses, you can also automate these things. So once somebody pays, they automatically get access to your information. So you're not working as hard. And I can't stress enough how important that is, um, because I get it. I grew up in a family that worked hard. My mom was in the military. She was a drill sergeant. So there would be times that she would have to work more than 24 hours straight. My dad worked multiple jobs. Both of my grandmas, one of my grandmas had 2 jobs from the time my mom was in school till I ended up graduating high school. My other grandma, um, she had a full-time job, but also had like little side jobs that she would do to earn extra money. So I come from people who it's like work, 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 and that's not what I wanted. Um, so just to quickly recap, um, what I would suggest you do if you want to start selling your own courses: analyze your gifts and talents. What you're educated in could be your course, um, but if you're not bound by that, definitely explore the options. Take those gifts, talents, experiences, whatever else, and determine a gap that you can solve, and then narrow down who has that gap. Who in that particular situation are you best fit to help? Because you share their experiences, um, because you better relate, because you're more comfortable, whatever the reasons are. Um, Determine who has that issue and start to research them. What are their pain points? What are their desires? What do they want? What are they lacking? What will they gain by working with you? Um, even start to think about where they're at right now, like what are they dealing with because they're not working with you, and then after working with you, what would their life be like? And then start to outline your course, ebook, whatever it is that you're going to offer, um, and then start pre-selling it, talking to people about what you're doing. It's also a really good idea to maybe offer something for free. Um, Going back to me being an accountant, let's say I wanted to sell a course on QuickBooks, but they don't really know if I know what I'm talking about or not. Maybe I could do a free assessment of their books, or have a free consultation call where they talk to me for 15 minutes to get a better understanding of what I know, what I do, what I understand. And then from there, they can either move into the course or working with me one on one. There really are so many different options. Um, but instead of talking you all to death, I do want to take some questions. I saw that some popped up. So give me just a second. Let me see if I can get to them. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for the first comment about me being vulnerable. So many of us are dealing with these situations. Um, and that's why I pointed out it's really great to maybe choose a niche or a target market that you're a part of, because you can relate to those people on a different level. Um, uh, Sometimes it doesn't really feel vulnerable because I know I'm talking to people that have the same issue. I know I'm talking to people that may have got frustrated that they're in a crunch trying to grade papers, and here you have 10, 15 students trying to submit something late, or complaining about a grade, or frustrated that they didn't get it in on time, and expecting you to go back and open it up as if you don't have a deadline to meet, or other students to grade, or even other plans that you may have had over the weekend. So that is a really big reason that I personally try to choose a target market and niche that I'm a part of, simply because it helps you relate to them better. And when you're buying from people on social media, the relationship that you're able to build with people, that trust and that understanding, is going to go way further than you being able to demonstrate that you are the smartest person on the topic or that you know the most. Um, a second question was, would I suggest selling the course for? I To be honest, if I give you an answer, you're probably going to be like, what? I'm not going to charge anybody that much. But now my courses are starting to go for upwards of $1,000. The most recent course I put out cost $19.97, but the first one that I put out only cost $49, because I had doubt in my own abilities. Even though I had been teaching for so long, I was concerned: will people really buy this? Will people really, support? Will people really learn anything? Um, but now that I don't have those what they call mindset blocks anymore. Um, because I promise I'm gonna answer your question, but it really goes a lot deeper. Because a lot of times what we charge other people for is what we believe we're worth, and that's not the case. The knowledge that I gave the students in that student loan program, the ones that actually did the steps, and now they're going to college without having to take out any student loans, they only paid $49. But for somebody like us who have student loan debt and are struggling to pay it, if we could have paid $49 to avoid this situation, we would have paid it fast. We would have been throwing money at somebody to help us avoid this situation we're in right now with student loans. So we really have to do the mindset work to understand not only are we worth it, but the information that we have can change people's lives. And the transformation that you're giving to people is what you charge for. You don't charge them based on, okay, it's going to take me 2 hours. So right now I make $25 an hour. So I'm going to charge $50. It took me 2 hours to do this. Um, that seems about right. That's really what my logic was. I, at the time, was making $25 an hour. Um, Something online said don't do zeros, like don't do 50, don't do 30. So I did $49, mainly because I was concerned about if people would really receive results. But 2 years later, the students that are coming out of college without student loan debt, the students that are able to either get a car, start a family, buy their home without having to worry about this massive debt dragging behind them for the rest of their life, that is a transformation that anybody who knows this particular issue, anybody living through this issue, would have happily paid $49 for. Um, but knowing what you're able to avoid had you had taken that course or gotten that information, that's what you're charging for. You're charging for the transformation. Um, so if you want to reach out afterwards to schedule like a free consultation so we can talk about what it is that you want to offer, kind of map out the transformation that you'll help people attain, and then we can start the pricing based on that. I also mentioned maybe think about offering something for free. I At first that can kind of sound like, what? I'm doing this so I can make some extra money. But when you're selling to people who don't know you, like honestly on this call, I'm not sure if many of you knew me before I posted about what I was going through with the school and the decision that I made. Um, but being able to have a chance to hear my thoughts, hear my processes. If you reach out for the consultation call, seeing how we interact together, um, building those type of relationships will make people more willing to, okay, I trust this person, I believe what they're saying. um, because people want to get results. They want to get results faster than what they get with college courses, because a lot of times these courses would be whatever you're putting out will probably come under the guise of self-help. A lot of people have been dealing with issues so long they want to get out of these situations now. So the quicker that you can provide results, the higher your product should cost. If it even being compared to a school, some people come out with tens, 20, 30,000s, upwards of $100,000 worth of debt for something that may take them 4 years to accomplish. They got to keep taking course after course after course to get this degree before they can really land this job at the full benefit salary, things like that. Oftentimes, the courses that we have, my goal is for you to be able to take the information and start applying it right then. When you guys get off this call, I really want you to start thinking about your gifts and talents. Um, Somebody on here may have realized for the first time ever that I'm not really doing what I want to do. I did this to make my parents proud just like she did, and I'm just now realizing that. So it's going to give people a lot to think about. Somebody who has been designing courses for a school, overworked by grading so many different assignments, probably worn down by the amount of students that they have, probably have never thought to, let me go ahead and create my own course and just give it a shot and try to sell it and see if people buy. But once you make that first sale, it's going to give you a level of confidence that I can't even explain. Because once you know that you can do it, even if sales are slow, that first sale lets you know that you can do it. And if you can convince one person to buy, you can convince 10 or 100 or 1,000. It's just a matter of building up that confidence, talking to people in their terms. Because just like you and I, if you see something on social media, if you go back and look at Facebook, sometimes LinkedIn, Instagram, every 3 or 4 posts, you may see three of your friends post something. Then there's an ad. There may be 3 or 4 more posts from your friends. Then there's an ad. So start to look at social media for what people are selling, what they're saying. If you see an ad that has a lot of comments, a lot of views, a lot of shares, click on it just to see what they're saying, because you can have the best product out there. If you can't explain to people how it helps them, how it benefits them, what problem you're solving for them, you won't be able to sell it. However, you can have the worst product out there. If they can explain, even if they're lying, can explain how it can benefit them, people will pay, not realizing they're paying for a lie. And I'm definitely not advising that at all. I'm just saying that your marketing and what you're saying to people about the solution that you're providing is the very first step that you need to focus on. You need to make sure that your course is actually providing a solution, because being able to provide that solution or result in a quick manner can take a course that you want to charge $100 for. You could possibly charge $5,000 for it. And the more you work on your various processes, that course could become a course that you plan somebody to take maybe 4 weeks or 6 weeks, 12 weeks. If you can narrow that process down to help them achieve that goal in a day, in 3 days, those would be considered what people call premium products. And you could charge thousands of dollars for working with somebody for one day. Um, those are called VIP days. So write that down and start to either Google them or YouTube them. VIP coaching days or VIP day coaching. Look those up on YouTube, and how um, you'll see how people come up with ideas and then charge thousands of dollars just to help somebody get to a goal. And that's not saying that you have to do that, but it is a possibility, especially with us having so much student loan debt and me personally not living the life I expected to live after college, especially everybody that I knew made college the end all be all. Go to college, you'll have a better life. The better life is not what I expected it to be, and doing this is what helped me create the life that I wanted. Just another second, I saw another question come in. Right now, for um, the name of the resource that I want you guys to look up on YouTube is called a VIP Day, VIP Coaching Days, and you'll see various people talking about how they set them up. And really, all this is them working with somebody one on one to achieve a specific result. So, back to accounting, if my course is showing you how to set up your books, and my course maybe takes you through this process in a 4 week time, that same course and that same information I can show you how to do in one day and charge you more for it. Uh, and again, that's not to get caught up on pricing or trying to, take advantage of people or cheat people out their money. People are already doing this. People are already willing to pay. We just don't know because they don't tell us. It's college and go to work, college and teach at a school. Nobody, it never once did I have an instructor talk to me about write your own textbook, teach people outside of school, start your own tutoring service. Because the same way we pay you to tutor students here, you can do the same thing and probably earn more money. Nobody talks to us about these things. We follow this expected path that has, we assume, worked for everybody else, but once we get there, it's not it's not working how I expected, and that's what led me to trying this. Um, Another question is, how do I share my course content with my clients? Um, for those of you that are familiar with Google Drive, Google Workspace, if you have a document in there, everything has a share setting. So if I'm offering something for free, when I load it to Google Drive, the share setting will be set to anybody with this link can access. Um, and so once they get access to it or request it, they can see it without paying. Those same share settings, it can be set to only people with authorized access can see this. So it means that you would have to physically put that person's email address into the share settings for them to be able to see it. That's what I do for all of my courses and programs. The share settings are set that only people who I've added their email address can access this. So once I get a notification that somebody has paid for something, I go in and add their email address, and they'll have access as long as they're paying. So for a course, once I add their email address, they'll have access to that indefinitely. They pay for the course, they'll have it as long as they want to have access. The same thing for the membership sites. Like I said, I create those with Google Sites as well, and it has the same type of share setting feature to set up. So um, if it's a free course that I'm giving away to show people that I know what I'm talking about, let them take a few steps so they can get a result so they're more comfortable with paying more for a different result. The share settings will be set to anybody with this link can view. Um, but if it's something that I want them to pay for, I'll add their email address. And since it's a membership program, every month I'll make sure that everybody that has access has submitted a payment. And if I get a notification that somebody's payment didn't go through or it declined, then I'll remove their email access. And access will stop until they renew their payment information. And it's pretty much as simple as that. There are a lot of different platforms out there that you can use. A lot of people use Thinkific, Kajabi, Podia. There's so many out there. You could even still use the ones that we're used to in higher ed, whether it's Blackboard or Moodle, things like that. The options really are, they're really unlimited. And from my from my experience, paying for the most expensive platform doesn't do anything to guarantee the amount of customers or students that you'll have. How you're able to explain the benefit they'll receive from working with you, um, and how you're able to get those results that you spoke about is what matters the most. So it doesn't matter if you provide that information in a Google document. As long as people are getting results and you're able to show people that you're able to take them from point A to point B, that's really all that matters. Um, so definitely, if you guys have more questions, I don't see anything else that has come through. If you have more questions, I don't want to take up much more of your time because I only intended this to be 45 minutes. So most of you connected with me on Facebook. I'm more than happy to answer questions. If you think of something, shoot me a DM. We can do a quick consultation call so we can talk about your ideas, maybe how you want to put things together, or even just talk about your goals. If you don't have a specific idea, but I want out of this situation, and I like what you're doing, I'm just not sure how I can do it for myself. Reach out and we can talk about that as well. Uh, no problem. No problem, Gabrielle. Shoot me a DM and let me know when you're available and we can make that happen. Um, because this is definitely doable. Um, if nothing else, please take the steps of thinking about your gifts and talents, finding a gap, finding who has that gap, researching them to see what they're complaining about. Um, Google forums, YouTube, take that issue. It could be something as simple as trouble with sticking to a diet, uh, complaining about sticking to a diet, complaining about a diet, complaining about workouts. Whatever your specific area is, figure out what issues those people have, research their issues, and then outline how you can improve upon that, how you can make their life better. They're stuck here, frustrated, out of shape, um, whatever else, and you're helping them get somewhere else. Um, like I said, outline that, find where they hang out, and maybe even think about something that you can offer a little bit for free, just so they can understand, like, okay, this is the person for me. They understand what I'm going through. They understand enough that I can trust them to lead me out of this. Um, and it really just takes off from there. I really could talk about this all day because not only do I love doing it, I love that we have more options than just what's been presented to us. And that's exciting for me. The idea of itself that any teacher, anybody that's comfortable showing somebody how to do something, really could create a business pretty much about living your life and earn more than our current salary, maybe even earn what these colleges are earning. I can't say because I've only been doing this for 2 years, but I can confirm, um, like I said, my recent courses, I've been charging more. My first course cost $49. Then I was like, okay, I can do this. I jumped up to $250. Then jumped up to $500. And like I said, now my most recent course where I show people specifically how to create their own student loan program sells for $19.97. And I don't want to say I actually have clients, but when I talk to a lot of teachers, because we're so used to being underpaid, we don't even realize how much our knowledge and experiences are worth. Um, but if you keep listening to me, keep coming to my little webinars, working with me, you'll understand that our minds are literally a gold mine. The knowledge, the experiences, not to take up too much time, but if you worked on your doctorate and had to do research, there are studies that I think it's called phenomena. I can't say it, it's a long word, but it's a study where you look at the experiences of other people. If those experiences can be valid to guide research, guide research studies, guide industry practices that different colleges put out on their committees or as peer-reviewed journals and things like that, if those experiences can be used to for that type of knowledge and those for those journals, it can be used to help other people as well. Um, I really hope I've said something that can help you today. Um, I really hope it's been beneficial. And like I said, if you found me on Facebook, DM me if you have questions. If you want to set up a consultation call, I'm here to help because we can definitely do it. And if there's nothing else, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending your time with me and listening to what I have to say. Bye bye. Have a good one.